It's time for the Game Show Fans Podcast with Josh and Danny. Hello, and welcome to yet another Game Show Fans Podcast. I am your fearless leader, Josh McLeod.
I'm Danny Lewis.
And this, of course, is X Factor Gaming.
Oh, we are doing our names again? Now let's just go with that. Anyway, today we are talking about game shows that we love that most people hate. Yep. Not game shows that we hate that most people hate, game shows that we actually legitimately enjoy. And of course, the opinions expressed in this are solely of those providing them and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the game show community, blah, 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 blah. We've each picked a game show that is generally not beloved or liked within the game show community, and we are going to talk about it. We've each watched some footage from each of our versions. Wish us luck, America. So I'm going to go first, and my game show that I picked is the original Three's a Crowd from 1979, starring Jim Peck, created by Chuck Barris.
Not to be confused with the Three's Company spinoff from 1984 to 85.
Everybody remembers that spinoff. I wonder which one to which they referred to in that book, but most people didn't see this in its original run because it was kiboshed pretty quickly in the syndicated markets. But the format was, who knows the husband better, his wife or his secretary? And so it was exactly like the Newlywed Game, only instead of it being couples, it was wife versus secretary. The winning team would split $1,000. It aired in 1979 and was quickly taken off the air due to protests from women's groups. I love the show because I'm a horrible sexist pig, and because it was entertaining. So shut up. What do you guys think of Three's a Crowd?
Well,
I've never been into shows like that, to be honest. So.
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. This show was created by Chuck Barris, so it kind of fits the formula of most of his shows because they involve relationships. And you said it was a little bit like the Newlywed Game, right?
I said it was identical to the Newlywed Game, except it was with couples except it was with wives versus secretary instead of couple versus couple.
Right. And this version fights often broke out on this show because of the question content and stuff that happened. You
know, people say that, but there was one time where that guy got card angry, but it was no worse than anything you'd see on Newlywed Game. I don't remember there being fights like people claimed. Now, anything that happened off camera, that's a different story. But people who were saying, "Oh, there was fist fights on the show," like, no, there weren't. And of course, now that I've said that, someone's gonna find an episode where a couple beat each other into submission.
Hey, I wouldn't mind watching that.
But I think people just took the show way too seriously.
Yeah, it was meant to be funny.
Yeah, well, there was the book, which was a stupid book for reasons we won't go into. It was 100 Dumbest Television Moments Ever. And this was listed number 90, and I'm like, man, you take things way too seriously, guy who wrote this book. I don't know.
The guy that took that too seriously also probably made the mistake of taking Match Game seriously.
Which version of Match Game?
Any of them.
Well, speaking of Match Game, let's go to Match Game 98.
Well, most people hate this show. Me? No. It has its issues, but what show doesn't, But I'm going to start by tying this into a little pilot that was called MG2. Why? Because most of the MG2 stuff, minus, thank goodness, Charlene Sultan, was carried over.
Thank God.
Yeah, really. Anyway, basically it was the same as any variation of Match Game, except you had, instead of 1 point per match, in the second round the points would double. There were categories with obviously terrible puns instead of A and B, and that writing staff needed to be fired for those puns, by the way. Celebrities that hardly anyone remembered at that point. I think the only one that I can remember that people might know would be Kevin Eubanks.
No love for Vicki Lawrence Schultz.
I forgot about Vicki. See, I forgot that Vicki Lawrence was even on that show.
Or Nell Carter.
I didn't even know who that was.
Yeah, Vicki, Nell Carter. Nell Carter was also on the final week of Match Game 90. Just a little tidbit there. Vicki, Nell, and Judy Tenuta were regular panelists on that show, and George Hamilton for most episodes.
And Rondell Sheridan, who I honestly didn't know existed until Cousin Skeeter.
Yeah. Or Corey in the House. Do you guys watch that show?
No, I have a life.
I've seen maybe a little of it, but
he was the dad of That's So Raven.
Yeah, that's true.
I think really MG98 probably maybe only had, if I could even find one thing wrong with it, the format could have been more like the original version.
I wonder why they went from 6 panelists to only 5 on this version.
That's what I'm wondering. That was another. It wasn't a glaring problem, but it was an issue no less. Every other version had 6, and every version since has had 6.
Costs less money.
That was something that I think was carried over from MG2.
Yeah.
It costs
and
less.
Sheridan was also carried over from MG2.
Yeah.
It costs less, Josh?
It costs less to book 5 celebrities versus 6.
And probably the set design, which was cheap anyway, was probably a little cheaper that way.
Well, they had 2 different sets.
It was similar to the original, but, I think what most people hated about this show was the host, and really, I can't find anything wrong with Michael Berger.
I like Michael Berger. That guy got a raw deal.
I think the problem most people find with this show was Judy Tenuta, if I recall correctly.
I don't even remember Judy Tenuta.
Judy wasn't as annoying as people think she was. I mean, I kind of tuned her out, so...
More or less. Okay, the show that I selected for this podcast episode tonight was a little puppet show called Late Night Liars. And here's how this show works. Basically, it's think Balderdash or Liars Club, but with puppets, with 4 puppets instead of celebrities. And the host of the show was a actor and comedian named Larry Miller. He's a good guy. And anyway, here's how the show works here. And there's 2 rounds. Larry Miller gives a category. And
I thought it was Dennis Miller.
No, it was Larry. Anyway. Larry says a category. 4 of the puppets give each of their answers. 2 of them are telling the truth and 2 of them are lying. And after all 4 panelists give an answer, the contestants pick a panelist that they think are lying. And if the contestant picks the right liar, then they win a predetermined amount of money.
So it's like Reverse Liars Club.
Uh-huh.
Or Reverse Balderdash.
There were 4 regular puppets on the show. One of them, the first one was named Shelley Oceans, who was basically a Joan Rivers parody. Just watch the show. There are clips of it on YouTube if you want to see what these puppets look like. The next one was William A. Mummy, who's basically Paul Lynde, but, has a mummy puppet. The next one is Kashmir Ramada, who was a Paris Hilton parody. And the last one was Sir Sebastian Simeon, who was basically Simon Cowell, but who looked like a monkey.
Remember when those 4 people were relevant in society?
Simon so kind of is the producer of X Factor.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a public persona. He's just some guy. But anyway, yeah, again, this is even better than Match Game because it uses puppets. They don't have to get any guest stars.
But what about the puppeteers?
Well, I have to hire puppeteers, but, I mean, those guys are cheap. You just, get union puppeteers to puppet stuff.
Probably right.
You could get anyone to do the puppeteering, really.
It's a skill.
And a lot of people didn't like this show. The show, you want to know how... This Late Night Liars only lasted 8 episodes.
Wow, do you have the complete series?
I think I have all of them except for 1, but yeah. Okay.
I was one of them that didn't like Late Night Liars. I was actually glad they put it on late night so I wouldn't have to watch it.
Wonder what it would have been called if it hadn't aired late at night.
I mean, it probably would have just played off the whatever time frame that it was on.
Evening Liars. Mid-morning Liars.
Right. Mid-morning.
Mid-morning Liars actually sounds decent.
3 a.m. Liars.
3 a.m.
So that would still be Late Night Liars if it was on the
How about Good Morning Liars or something like that?
They have that show. It's called Good Morning America.
I was gonna say, he said it, not me.
That's right. We're gonna leave that in.
We all love Balderdash. No, actually,
Correct.
I hate Balderdash.
Now, and there were 2 different episodes where they had another puppet on to fill in for one of the others. One time they had a Mickey Rourke puppet, and another time they had a Rosie O'Donnell puppet.
How the hell does a puppet not make it to the show? Like, what?
I don't know.
Was Puppet sick?
They were thrown in the wood
I guess that's what they said on the show, just to be funny.
But in real life, they were probably thrown into the wood chipper. Okay, that was a little cruel of me to say.
Have you ever seen footage of Tickle Me Elmo being thrown into a wood chipper?
No.
That makes my day.
Or Elmo. But, okay. Yeah, GSN hasn't shown a Late Night Liars since 2010. If anyone wants to buy episodes from me off the black market, just hit me up.
Bear in mind that what he means by buy, of course he means is providing free of charge.
Right. Wink, wink.
He was going to do Mind of a Man, which I was more interested to hear about. But...
I don't even remember Mind of a Man. Ironically, I remember the promos more than I remember the actual show.
I kind of remember the theme song, but that's it. No.
I remember that I have memories of it. We want to move on to the final show, or did you have more to say about Late Night Liars?
I mean, I'll say I enjoyed it, but at the time it aired, I was a little young to really understand all the jokes, but now I still think it's funny. But, yeah, most people don't like it.
I'm from Gay, Alaska, or Gay, South Dakota, I think is what it was called.
Gayville, South Dakota.
Thank you, Gayville, South Dakota.
You see, the problem about Gayville is that they still haven't told their city fathers, but their mothers suspect.
We won't do the.
That was a line from the episode.
We won't do the Sopranos joke we heard earlier. We'll do the gay joke, but we won't do the Sopranos joke. Yeah. Audience, if you know what we're talking about, type it in below.
Yeah.
Right. And there's your audience participation for this episode. Okay, I'm just going to preface by saying, get your rotten fruits ready, kids. Yeah, I'm dealing with Tic Tac Dough 90 here.
You win!
That was the main issue I had with the show. Patrick Wayne didn't belong as host. Who was it that said he's an announcer playing a game show host? I know Cindy quoted that, but I don't remember who originally said it.
It was...
I want to say it's Randy West.
I think it was... Yeah, who cares? Who was the host after Wink Martindale?
Jim Caldwell?
Okay, it wasn't him. Yeah, I don't know.
The other problems I had with the show, why did the Dragon and the Dragon Slayer need to rap?
Because that was the 90s and they wanted to modernize it.
And?
Because Vanilla Ice was, the hizzy at that time, and he dominated the charts.
And NWA was just breaking up around this time.
I mean, fun fact: they wanted NWA to be in there. You pick the wrong box, you get Ice Cube. So, but they were unavailable. So.
And a very minor thing I had: why didn't the pot carry over like in every other version of the show?
Money. They couldn't afford it.
And I think the other issue that plagued it was it was on at a terrible time.
What time?
I remember it was literally scuttled off into midnight slots pretty fast.
Well, that's a sign that it's going to get canceled pretty soon.
Yeah, that's a sign of any show's cancellation if it gets thrown into a midnight slot, unless your name is Idiot Test.
No, because I watched that before. That's on at 8 p.m. At least here in this part.
Or Divided. I think, has Divided been canceled yet? That's in post-midnight, too. So is When Sanity is, too. Anyway, back to Tic Tac 90. Let's see. Basically, I don't think that show deserves the heat. I mean, the theme music was a little off for a game show, though. I think I put it best in Cindy's video on it. I put it in the comments that it sounded more like elevator music. Yes, it does.
Have you guys seen that clip of Patrick Wayne? He was talking to Jim Lance when he was on Bullseye, like in 1982, and he said, "Oh, I hosted a pilot for a game show," and Jim said, "Oh, you'd be a great one." And no, he was wrong.
I guess he wasn't. We thought the same thing about Charlene Tilton, and we were wrong.
Mike Riley.
And Mike Strahan, and we were wrong.
Strahan, the jury's still out.
No, I think the jury's just stupid.
I think the jury's still split on Strahan, to be honest. Give him a few more years.
Nope. Anyway, Patrick Wayne. Was he the son or grandson of John Wayne?
He was the son.
Okay.
The son.
Although I could think of at least one more game show host completing Cindy's little challenge that's worse than Patrick Wayne.
David Sparks.
Maybe 2 or 3. Sparks is up there, but not on the list. I'd say Pat Bullard is probably the main one.
Pat Bullard.
And,
oh, yeah.
And if pilots count, Charlene Tilton.
We don't count pilots. I don't. Because
correct.
They're pilots. So we'll go
J.D. Roberto from Shop 03.
Now, Shop 03 is one that a lot of people hate, and they are right to hate it. It totally sucks.
The host isn't that good, not fit for the show.
What a terrible format. I hope somebody got fired for that format.
Why is it they didn't bring Pat Finn back to do that? I don't get that.
Because they wanted I think he was unavailable at the time.
I'd like to see Shop come back, but it wouldn't work today because not enough people shop anymore.
Well, they shop, but they do it online. So it'd be kind of weird if people were running around their computers.
Yeah. It wouldn't, let's just say Shop Till You Drop wouldn't last very long today if it was revived. Probably the same reason that they haven't said anything about the supposed supermarket sweep revival yet.
Well, people still go to grocery stores because people have to eat food. It's hard to order food offline.
Do y'all think the sweep revival is actually going to happen? I haven't heard anything about it.
I I gotta be blunt. I don't really care. Like, a lot of these remakes are just terrible. If we're being blunt, I hate the Match Game reboot with Alec Baldwin. I hate the Pyramid reboot. Ironically, the To Tell the Truth reboot is one that I actually can kind of stomach.
I hate it.
Yeah, but it's the only one that I can kind of stomach. But even that one kind of gets on my nerves.
It's not necessarily the host I hate; it's the format.
Yeah, they keep cutting away to random crap when we want to watch the game.
I mean, the game doesn't even follow the format of the original, the predecessors.
So, if we're being honest, like, I'm not happy with anything Fremantle has done in the past 5 years. So, is it coming? I honestly don't care. Because I'm not going to watch it either way.
Will you watch the Press Your Luck revival, though?
Probably not. Because I know what it's going to be. If it's going to be anything like Pyramid, there's going to be people playing the game, and then they're going to cut away from the game to like, the host being wacky and being like, what? You can't say that? That's wacky! Like, oh my god, I don't care, Strahan. Go away.
Wait a second. Is Press Your Luck going to be made by the same company as this?
Yeah, it's Fremantle.
Fremantle North America, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. And is CBS going to be running it?
That I don't know.
I would imagine CBS or ABC.
I would think ABC just to keep. I wonder if they're canceling To Tell the Truth. I don't know if I've heard, because I've heard, now we're getting into the fun category, that Anthony Anderson is like part of this Me Too accused group, and I wonder if they're going to cancel To Tell the Truth and replace it with like Press Your Luck.
No, they're going to fire Anthony Anderson and hire Paula Poundstone.
No. Get her off my screen.
I think Paula Poundstone offended some women too, so
yeah, that's why I said it.
I choose to believe that. Yeah.
I would just go ahead and yank To Tell the Truth. It's just so far from its original format that it's not funny.
Yeah.
I think Anthony is doing a good job as the host, though.
Ironically, I think he's one of the few because he fits the format that they're doing well. Unfortunately, I think the biggest problem is they keep cutting to, like, they don't play the game the way it was played on the original. And I remember Tom Kennedy in some interview saying that. Like, I watched the new To Tell the Truth, I was like, what the hell? This is so far removed from the original. It's like, why are they even calling it To Tell the Truth?
And you said
name
Tom
value. That's why.
Tom Kennedy.
And what'd you say that he said?
Yeah, he said that it was so far removed from the original that it was like they didn't play the game right. It was like he didn't know what he was even watching, and he was like, why was it called To Tell the Truth?
Well, Tom Kennedy, I'll answer that for you. It's simple. Name value. Call it anything else, it won't last as long as it would under the To Tell the Truth name.
Does anyone know what show he was offered that he turned down because he hated the format?
No.
There's a show that, like, he said, like, oh, it keeps getting remade, and yeah, I hate the format, and I won't do it. I wouldn't do it, so I said no to it every time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It wasn't Password.
No, it wasn't Password, it wasn't Match Game, it wasn't... Well, maybe it was Match... Well, no, because he did Match Game. I think it was Card Sharks. Like, he hated the format of Card Sharks.
I bet you anything they offered him Card Sharks 01, and he said no.
I don't think so. He was kind of done by that point.
Or Card Sharks 96.
96.
There was a 96 version of Card Sharks?
Yeah, that was the pilot that Cindy's going to cover in a few months.
That pilot was so bad.
I can't wait to see her opinion on that pilot.
I watched it on my computer. It was so bad I walked out of my own home.
Oh.
If her opinion on Match Game NG2 was bad enough, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like when she does Card Sharks. And Josh, I actually took the suggestion of a Filipino whammy to her.
Whammy, push your luck.
Give that to Danny. Credit to Dan.
Anybody else watching that show find yourself chanting no whammies along with the crowd during every spin?
No, I just kind of laugh at how silly they are. Like, and you know, some of those, the values are like 10,000 pesos, 50,000 pesos. Like, they have spaces with that much money. Imagine having that much money on the U.S. version, except...
They'll probably do that in the new one.
Do you know how much a peso is worth? Wait a minute. Do they even use pesos in Philippines?
Oh, that's what they said.
Okay.
I know parts of Mexico they do.
Okay, do you know how much a peso is worth in America?
The exchange rate is very low.
Yeah, it's like you win 30,000 pesos on that show, you're really only winning like $2,000, I think.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they'll up the money values on this new Pressure Luck revival. I'm having a feeling it'll be big money. It'll probably be big money oriented.
They'll probably have one space on the wheel that's like, you know, $100,000, but
But
Like,
it's
it'll be
extremely tough to land on it.
Yeah.
And they better Larson-proof that board.
Yeah, they hopefully they'll Larson proof it. But
At least Michael Larson is no longer around to take them for $100,000 too.
Wow, we're happy that someone has died. We've reached another
No.
low.
It's just, if he were still around and in good health, he'd want to play and Larsonize them too.
No,
Of
if he
course.
were around and still in good health, he would be in Mexico running from the FBI.
Well, this is true. I mean, they did say that on the Big Bucks documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're done discussing our game shows for tonight. So,
Right.
any last thoughts on any of the 4 shows we discussed?
I like Match Game 98 too.
I don't hate it.
I mean, I can't find any glaring issues with either one of the 2 shows that I had, except for Patrick Wayne, but
I can find a few with.
I'm not going to rip him apart over that.
Well, I guess that's it for this episode of the Game Show Fans Podcast. Join us next time. So this has been I'm Not Undercover Cop 327, a.k.a. Josh McLeod.
I'm Daniel Lewis, aka Game Show Fan 2001.
And this has been X Factor Gaming.
And remember, it's hard to see the end when you're beginning. Take care.